Hey, you guys, it's Cellphone Loves You. This is the first episode of my new podcast. I am goofing around here in Albuquerque today, and just quick introduction to me and what it is that I'm doing, all the things that are going on in the world, and all the goofy, silly things in my own words. So first off, I went by many years the name, for many years I went by the name Ginger, right? That was a sweet name because that was like an evolution of who I'd been, and that had always been like a drunk girl name of mine. So here I came into being as Ginger, who I like felt like mature enough and like really able to like actually be the person that I was trying to be, and silly and goofy and all the things, all the times that I wanted to. But I was talking to my therapist and they were like, well, it sounds like you grew up in like a really love-deprived household. And I'm someone, I'm a Leo, and I'm someone who also like loves getting love, any attention I can, all the places, as healthy as can be, obviously these days. But and I was like, well, what is it that people love the most in this world and can't live without? Me think cell phone. All right, so that's why I'm here, and you're currently catching me on this wacky and wild adventure that I've been on ever since I took off in the Bay Area in April. So it's been a silly and fun time. Been moving and grooving, bobbing and weaving all along the Pacific Northwest a little bit, and going to back down, and I went to LA and San Diego and Arizona, and right now I'm in Mexico, and probably going to be going to Texas very soon. I'm doing pop-ups all over, anywhere I can, some of them just silly and popping up in a wacky way. But I had at 21, I started a food business. At first, just selling food on the street, and then my partner and I at the time started this thing called Hella Vegan Eats. And so that was a really fun and wacky adventure of epic queer gay proportion, and we had started from something really basic and small, selling food on the street, to having a farmer's market stand, and then later a food truck that became really popular, got all sorts of Best of the Bay awards and Bay Area accolades. And then we opened a restaurant, and that was really super fun and wacky, and it got really big. And then it was like one of those, it was a huge beer garden that could hold up to 300 people at once, and that was a fun adventure. But it was a little bit too big, and also the person that we had been subletting our little restaurant space from in that giant facility ended up trying to steal our business, and then started their own vegan business, which failed. That's on them. But things happen, laugh about it, but also just let it roll off my back, because who cares? And it was a fun time, and silly for sure, hiring all these queer and wacky trans folks, and it was really big, so kind of like I wasn't good at handling that, so I definitely took a step down when I started my project Gay4U, which I started in 2019. It was the year before the pandemic, and Hella Vegan Eats had closed. And then I basically started this thing called Gay4U, which was another extension of like the whole Hella Vegan Eats like universe of food, which was like very party food centric. But I was getting older, and I was like, whoa, I should probably make food that's gonna like actually give people nutrition. And that was a really fun time to figure out what that all meant. Start getting into like a lot of fermented foods, and then at the same time I had been giving foods to friends for years, like for free, because I love them. And obviously like that's my whole vibe. I'm a Leo, and I'm always gonna love on people a lot. But I just kind of figured, I was like, well, if I should have a lot more intention, because this is a lot smaller project, and I'm coming from a lot smaller resources. And so I came up with this idea of like feeding trans people of color always for free, as a very intentional way of talking about just putting out like positivity from a trans person of color, like themselves, and trying to just be like, hey, like there's all this stuff that happens in my life, in my world, and I've had to physically fight people. I've had to put up with people's bullshit and ignorance and whatever, all sorts of wacky things, but like trying not to let it affect me. Obviously it was a huge thing to have to lose my family transitioning, or lose all sorts of, opportunities, going to interviews at like SF Budin and like being rejected completely, just like on the spot, being like, oh, actually, we already filled the role, and going to different places, and I was loved and supported. I worked for Ryan Scott at who was on what was it, Top Chef or something, and he put me as like the hostess of this brunch spot called Brunch Drunk Love, and then I ran this guy Eric's food truck for him at the same time called Eat Curbside. So I was given a lot of like light and also brunch box, which later turned into Fog Cutter. Hey Caroline, hey Guillermo, what's up homies? Y'all are silly. I hope everybody's okay, but I definitely was still trying to do my food thing in Hella Vegan Eats, and I got back into this thing. Okay, so Gay4U was basically just like a way of being like, oh my god, I got on a real good sidetrack, which I'm very much known for. I love pulling it all together and getting it wherever I can, but of course this is the first time I'm here on camera with y'all alone. I'm not gonna do another take because fuck it, and who cares? I'm just showing y'all who I am. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the road right now. I'm getting it where I can, and this is like a fun adventure for me. So, Gay4U is basically just like putting it in the forefront of trans people of color always eating free, because it's like, hey, like here is a community taking care of itself. That's like what the story was. The angle was always like doing beautiful, kind things for one another. So I did do a cut right there. Part of the Trans POC Always Eat Free was there was also I had a friend where I wanted to make sure that they were always fed and make sure that they were always doing well and could always have all the resources that they needed. And I tried to give them a job, but that was a very difficult thing. But a lot of the things that I did was inspired by my love and admiration for them and like my sisterhoodliness and motherliness towards them. But yeah, and another big thing of what was happening was at the time there was this quote. I think at first it was Patricia Arquette, who had just lost her sister. This trans woman, what's her name? Arquette also. She was like a trans woman. Let me give it a look up. But so they basically put it out there that like the life expectancy of trans women was 35, and I was in my in my early 30s when I first heard that, or maybe I was like 29, and so I was just like, dude, we can't always be talking about this sad shit in the community. Ugh, Alexis Arquette, R.I.P. young, beautiful. I think she was on like a soap opera for a second. Well, anywho, then later, it was also spoken about like that trans women of color have the life expectancy of 35. And so I was very much inspired to be like, wow, that is hugely depressing. That's so sad. That kind of like a bummer summer over there with that news. But I kind of wanted to reverse like the ideas and project happiness and beauty into that world of trying to digest that, because that was something that I know other trans femmes and other, I think it was mostly about trans Black women of color, but still I had experienced enough violence, enough like sassy attitudes from the world that I knew I could put in like political and like radical artistic ideas into like the food that I was making, and part of it was like to build community. Anywho, so yeah, I always just wanted to put out love and appreciation for my community, people who cultivated beauty into my life, and also just a lot of silly, cute warmth and, family. And so I wanted to keep on like perpetuating like love and support, and so that's why Trans POC Always Eats Free became a thing. And then luckily my beautiful friends Carlos and Polo at Mis Tacones, they picked it up, and then beautiful silly friends over at Moon Cherry Sweets, and I'm trying to get it to be in more places all over the country. This year my now sweet homie Rex wrote about me in the New York Times, and that was really cool to be talked about in this bigger way and on a bigger platform. then from then, all this other cool media stuff has happened. So that's been fun. But, you know, I was 2 years deep into a pandemic, and I was just like, okay, I don't really think that this is all happening in the way I want it to be. You know, like I had been facing a lot of strange times in Oakland. I had been there for 13 years, and basically, like, after, you know, like ending that relationship, that first partnership that I'd moved to Oakland with, and then having another one end in like the dumbest of ways, and then just like losing my really sweet close friend in like a tragic like overdose way, and then just like some other friends drama, just like all this stuff and continuous stuff. And I was just like, listen, my connection with the Bay Area is I need to take a break. And that's kind of what it is that I'm doing. I was turning 5 in this year, 2022. So I was like, I need to get out of this like space, and I don't want to be in a negative headspace. And I just was like, I got to change this life. I want to have a really fun and adventurous time. And that's why it is that I'm here on this adventure, trying to go through North America and do as much of this year as I can, and travel around doing food pop-ups and also skate meetups and queer things as much as possible, but also just following my like life path of this thing that I came up with in my early 20s that really helped me develop into the person that I am, where it's a lol. This is all lucid dream. This is my like life motto. I have it tattooed on myself right here. It's something I believe, and I've had to add more things, you know, because the lucid dream is a really silly thing if you've ever had one. It's where you can create anything you want in a dream space, and you get to like be a miraculous superhero, or just have all the fun sexy adventures, or all the wacky cute things that you want to do. So I just wanted to like project, like have an identity towards myself, and have something that I could like project to other people. It's like, hey, like these little phrases can like just spark all sorts of creativity and warmth into your life. And so this is all lucid dream is something that I came up with in my early 20s, and I started putting out there. And then when I became trans, I like made it into like a trans thing, because that's kind of how I believe life can be. It's like you're in charge of this vessel, and you get to do whatever it is you want to do, and whether it be putting out positivity or living a nightmare, if you want to, that can happen too. And so I basically just wanted to add dreaminess into life. And so I think that over time, of course, I had to like add a little some amenities, and I picked up this one, Do No Harm, which is a classic, because, you know, you could be a lucid dreamer and just be all sorts of chaotic and sinister and wacky and wild, and that's never my intention, but it's something that is very possible. So Do No Harm is a really good one that I definitely picked up. And then to add to that, I was listening to the Annie Letterman podcast, Me Inspiration, and one of the guests was Duncan Trussell, which has that Midnight Gospel cartoon animated series on Netflix, which is really super sweet and beautiful. I think like the episode where his mom passes away is like one of the like most beautiful things ever created, as far as acceptance of death and life, and really good. Check that one out. But he was talking about this thing, pronoia, which is the opposite of paranoia, where the idea of paranoia is the world is out to get you and sinister and working against you. And then there was this idea of pronoia. So it's the opposite. The world is moving in your favor. The universe is moving in your favor. And nothing else has made me feel so much more like happy than when I heard that. And that is something that I try to tell all the people out there is pronoia. Everything is working in your favor. Just believe it. Make it so. Like you can tell yourself, I don't know, maybe it's like faith. I'm someone who definitely is someone, you know, I went through like my early, what do you call it? This is fun to do on your own and be wacky, but atheist. I was like super atheist when I was like 11, but that's because I raised like super blindly Catholic, and so I was just like, no, it's all lies, this is all bullshit, you're crazy, this is all shenanigans and whatnot. The suburbs learned me that word. Lol. I was basically just in a really strong headspace of being like, no, 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 no. But of course, live enough time and have enough crazy adventures on psychedelics or other things, and I just kind of believe that I don't really know anything. And so that's a good one to have, is to have some faith here and there. I feel like it helps me. I don't know, it could help anyone possibly, but I am a big fan of having, you know, my this is all a lucid dream, do no harm, and pronoia be little cornerstones of what it is that I'm doing. What else is it that I'm doing? Let's see. So right now I'm on this road trip, and I am in my beautiful van Muñeca, which is not as tall as I wish it was, but it's something. And it's a 92 Chevy G van. It's the G30. It's the sports van extended. I think it was a 16-seater. It's like a church van. It says Living Word Fellowship, which I like because I'm into like the this is all lucid dream kind of vibes and spreading that message out into the world. And so I am in this vessel and out on the road trying to make foods for trans people, queer people, everyone, inspire hope and dream, all that stuff, dreaminess, good times, sweetness, be sassy, be sweet, have fun, do some roller skating. And yeah, I don't know. My whole thing was that I changed my name to Cellphone because it's goofy and ridiculous and who cares, and this is all a lucid dream. You could make it as ridiculous as you want to, and I wanted to have a dream that was a name that was singular and unique, and probably only a few goofballs have. Hello to my other cell phones. Love y'all very much, but I am here because I want to spread love and joy. And so as much as I want to be loved and adored like everyone loves their cell phone, maybe it's not what everyone loves, but it seems like culture in this moment, at least it's funny to joke about, everyone loves their cell phone, is on theirs as much as possible. So this is the podcast, Cellphone Loves You. So thank you so much for joining me on this introductory ep where I am just saying hello and buongiorno and saying hello to you. Hello. And I am just trying to be here and not only Gay4U but also Cellphone Loves You. And I don't know, love is fun, and why not? Okay, well, I'm saying goodbye now. Love you so much. Love you. Cellphone loves you. Don't break up people emails. All right, love y'all so much. Bye. Buongiorno. Bye.